Hey everybody, welcome back to Play Casket. These are your hosts, Proc of the Goblin, and
Ghost, your co-host.
in this episode we're going to actually talk about RPGs, like the culture of turn-based RPGs. We're going to talk about more specifically to them. And kind of where they're at now, and where they're going, and what we think should kind of bring them back.
Why they should be role-playing games. Role-play.
So, basically, for the most part, traditional, classic role-playing games. So a lot of stuff that used to be what we grew up on, which was a lot of turn-based stuff and all that, because it was simple, it wasn't overbearing and stuff like that. A lot of action RPGs didn't come out until later on, which is now the current wave of popularity. We have stuff like Dark Souls, we have Elder Scrolls, we have Fallout, and literally a lot of variety in between them too, like Diablo and such too, where you're literally playing through a good portion of the story, and you level up, and you could just keep going until you feel satisfied, and just taking a reprieve and adding your stats up and such.
So what brings us here today?
We are going to be talking about the traditional classic turn-based RPG, where it's at. So let's put like groundwork right there. Where do we think it's at right now?
I don't know. I'm tired of turn-based. Well, because I remember the reason why it dawned on me was when I was playing Bravely Default. I know everybody loves the game.
I like it. So
okay, but I don't want to hate it. But the issue was when I was playing through it and my encounters were way too high. So they say, "Oh, if you don't like how it plays, you can mess with the settings." So I turned down the combat, like from 100% encounter to 50% encounter, and it was still fairly high. So I turned it almost all the way down, and then I wasn't getting any experience, so I turned it down to make them easy. And it just kind of dawned on me that it broke this fourth wall, and the mechanics started to bleed through, and I just started thinking, what's the point of having a level and grinding when you could just play through it and watch the cutscenes?
So a journalist mode, as it were.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Don't waste my time when I play games.
No, and I kind of agree with that. Like, I've not been a huge person on a lot of turn-based RPGs. Like, a lot of them, I usually played kind of like a secondary to whatever other projects I'm doing. Yeah. A lot of times I used to have it on a TV that's right next to me when I'm doing sketch work or some kind of progress on my college papers and stuff back in the day. So it was never a huge point of being focused, because a lot of it, to me, even back then, felt like a level check. Like, you had to grind, and when you're at the right level, you'll be able to see the rest of the story.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people keep telling me, like, Final Fantasy VII had the greatest story out there, you don't understand. I'm like, yeah, but if they made a movie about all the times the player was involved, it'd be just 3 hours of you just killing wild boar.
Yeah.
Like, just randomly.
Yeah.
So I've always had a weird issue with that type of mechanic. Like, it was never been a huge thing for me.
Yeah.
So
do you have to celebrate after every victory? Jesus Christ.
Yes, I have to spin my sword every time for about 5 seconds and just sheath it in a very cool way.
Well, which I noticed too when I went to Xenoblade and Final Fantasy 12. Like, oh, now I see why they don't do a victory pose every time they win, because it speeds everything up.
Well, back when it first became a thing, It was a way to hide loading screens.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it was one of the things. It was a good way for people to not see what they're trying to calculate in the background.
Oh, okay.
So it was kind of a clever way to do it, but it just became a thing. And it was just like, nowadays you don't really need that much, but at the same time, like, it's probably one of the only times you actually see your character's character kind of shine through.
Okay.
A good example of that is Neptunia, like Hyperdimension Neptunia. Those games don't need it, because we're such at a high level that they can literally just skip right to the victory screen and stuff. But really, one of the few times you see the characters, like the character models, the actual models and stuff, fight and stuff, and like express themselves, is in those victory screens.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you see literally just artwork just moving their mouths.
Yeah.
For the most part. Like, that's boring to me. You know? So, I'm at that point where I think, like, turn-based RPGs are kind of going the same way as, like, the 3D platformer adventure games. Mm-hmm. Where only indies are going to be doing them.
Yeah.
A lot. I think Square's going to constantly regurgitate some classic stuff every now and again, or pseudo-classic stuff like Octopath, right? Otherwise, they're just going to try to avoid it because action game RPGs are where it's at now.
Yeah.
Because the way I've always said it, I want to play through my story, not to it.
Yeah.
So a lot more people are picking up on it. Mm-hmm. Like, a lot more people are going, yeah, you're right, I want to do that.
Well, the issue with, like, turn-based, too, is you're going to be doing this for 8+ hours. Like, do you really want to...
Oh, even longer than that.
Yeah.
Like, easily, like, 40+ hours in RPGs. Because it's a grind fest. It's a level
Kill
change.
dog, get money, experience. Kill dog, get money, get experience. Yeah.
So, it's stuff like that. And what's funny is that you mentioned Xenoblade. Xenoblade does it, too. Xenoblade just hid their turn base through auto attacks. They have all these traditional auto attacks that do nothing.
Get out of here. Get out of here.
They don't. Like, if you had stuff that just auto attack, it was basically like you saying attack, just normal attacks. Mm-hmm. In a traditional turn base, the traditional turn base would actually just kill the things faster than your auto attacks will ever do any damage. Literally, it's being hidden behind your abilities to regenerate skills and stuff. Those are your spells and turns. And it just doesn't look like that because they're hiding it behind little auto attacks. So I'm bursting your bubble there.
Get out of here.
But yeah, I think a lot of the problem is that turn base is such a slog that even modern companies, like even modern games that like high-end companies tried to like change up the battle mechanics, have failed to do.
Yeah.
Well,
I think
Paper Mario was a good one.
Yeah, I think we're kind of coming to a tail end on innovation, I guess.
I wouldn't say innovation. I just think that people are too beholden to what turn-based means. That it has to have a very strict sense that they won't think about anything else outside that.
But anyways, Paper Mario.
Yes, like Paper Mario, they've changed stuff since I think Color Splash or Sticker Star. One of those first two that came out, right? And they've been changing this routine. They even got rid of the experience, and I think that was a very dumb thing to do because when you have a turn-based system, you need rewards, and most of the rewards that you can get out of your combat can be achieved in the overworld. So you can get all your confetti, all of your coins and stuff without having to be in a battle. But you have to be in battles in order to progress in some stupid fashion. But you never level up. You never get anything that's explicitly through combat. So the combat becomes essentially meaningless.
Yeah.
It becomes a slog, right? It became very apparent in the new Switch one, the Origami King, when literally every other reward you can get, because the only rewards you got out of battle was confettis to fill up holes and stuff like that, and coins, which you can literally just cycle through a couple overworld levels, get as much coins as you want to make you feel packed out, and never have to deal with a single fight.
Then why don't you just run past all the...
Because you're
minions?
Forced to actually still fight these characters. Some of these characters are faster and stuff, so you're forced to fight them.
Then it feels like a chore if you're...
Yeah, that's why they're arguing and complaining about it. Because I actually feel the same way. And they're like, as much as the battle mechanic has shifted and changed, which is interesting.
Yeah.
The battle mechanic in itself is interesting. The rewards are not. You basically made the rewards that you can get from it meaningless. So it's just there in case you feel like playing combat. In technicality.
Yeah.
So it's a slog. And I think that's like a lot of other companies have been trying to add some other special effects and changes and
more gauges
and new ways to equip stuff. Falcom's Trials of Cold Steel 4, and I think 3 did it too, with all the unique little quips that change things and gumballs and make your characters like powerful gods and stuff. It's a lot of like idiosyncrasies that just like they work in a functioning level, but they're not as rewarding.
You could always add more spices to the dish, but it doesn't make the dish any more interesting.
Yeah, like eventually it's gonna all taste like buffalo sauce now.
Yeah,
like I don't want buffalo flavored soup. So, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Like, right? But that I think a lot of major parties kind of picked up on this, and that's why they're on their way out. But I think a lot of indie scene like wants to do a lot of traditional classic stuff. There's a company that's making a game called Bug Fables that are trying to pick up all the classic feel of Paper Mario, like the original Paper Mario. So people are going to play that thinking it's going to be the same as before and stuff like that, but they're going to notice the same type of thing, right?
Yeah.
And I do feel like that's it's one of the things that I see that is going to stick around. The only reason why it's going to stick around is because the indies are so pervasive in it, because it's so easy to develop in general.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon, much like how, people like to shoot in black and white. It's not going to go away anytime soon.
I don't think it'll ever go away like the platformers have been, but it's you're going to notice a rapid decrease in them.
But I think one thing they can do is make us role play. That's why we like.
That's definitely one of the things we were going to talk about. Like, it was like what will make them come back.
Yeah, and most important thing is Square Enix. I think they've kind of forgotten to role play. They've been so obsessed with making things look really, really good.
Yeah,
the
way I thought it was like they're pushing into the edge of cool. Like, if you just make everything wear belts and the belts wear belts and everybody just seems so down to earth, edgy, people will like you. No, we don't like them at all.
Keep it simple. And I think in the next few games, Persona, it probably will surpass Final Fantasy, because Final Fantasy still has a lot of name brand. Like, Final Fantasy still has a lot of brand power behind it. But why people like Persona so much is because the characters are good. People are invested in their characters. That's why they like them so much. Because despite the combat being still fairly simple, people don't talk about the combat. They talk about how fun and interesting the characters are.
Well, when you think about a lot of role-playing games and stuff, even with like looking back at like Final Fantasy VII, nobody really talks about the material system in it. Yeah, they don't.
Yeah.
Even though I think it was one of the better systems that they've made for their turn-based versions of the games. For the most part, they talk about how cool Cloud and Sephiroth are. In fact, they're so cool, they end up in Smash Brothers. That's how cool people think they're cool are. Like, that's them, right? Yeah. Granted, I do think a lot of it's because they were the angsty kid characters when we were angsty kids.
Yeah, it came out at a good time.
So it came out at a perfect time for everyone to relate to them and stuff. But that's the point that I'm making right here, is that they don't talk about the mechanics in Persona, but these new characters are relatable to the new generation, basically.
Yeah.
Right? They're like, oh, these characters are really down to earth. It's pick-upable. You can like really like kind of relate to them in some personal way that makes you feel like really connected to the characters.
Yeah.
So that's what I think that, and I do believe like I feel like we're gonna probably talk about this a little later in another one and kind of expand on it, but romancing.
Yeah.
Like,
well, it brings us back to role playing, because it allows us to, like, yes, they're not real, but the thing about it is it makes the character more dynamic.
Yeah, like it gives you a little bit more control.
Yeah,
it gives you a sense of you're influencing the story in some way,
instead of just I like how she looks, so she's gonna be my party. the end. Like,
and we'll talk more about that, but on a mechanical, like, we're gonna expand on that one a lot. Like,
Okay.
that's gonna be like a whole episode of in itself. But on the mechanic level, it allows like players to kind of experiment. Like, for instance, Fire Emblem Awakening, your offspring kind of had different stats and different looks based on who partnered up with who.
yeah.
And that kind of it allows players to kind of experiment what's going to happen.
Yeah.
When you have the new era of Final Fantasy and all these other RPGs that are just turn bases and stuff, you are literally just slogging through the story and level checks as you go along without any sense of being able to experiment and understand. Whereas stuff like Diablo, even especially like 2, 3 didn't have as much flexibility, but 2 allowed you to kind of mess with certain type of skills and skill sets and stuff like that, along with armor and weapons that actually added to those kits that help certain builds. And you tested out these builds and what would benefit in what way.
Yeah.
And allowing players to do that is why they will come back and play more. If it's just a cool story, they know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
So it's stuff like, that's the reason why I even complain about Subspace Emissary, why everybody wants another one. I'm like, dude, you know what's going to happen the next time you play it.
Yeah, I think
Like,
most people play it once. Yeah.
Yeah, it's wasted potential if you don't get the same experiences, like different experiences each time. You know what I mean? Even if it's slight, even if it's predictable, sometimes it can change up. That's why PvP is so popular. Like even League of Legends, same stage for like the 10 years it's been out. Every single time you could have a different build against different people, and you have to change how you act and handle things.
Yeah.
So, doubling back all the way to the RPGs before we go on another different tangent. What do you think would make them big again? Like, really big? Like, what would be a good mechanic that you think would really, like, change them besides just the roleplay?
Like
we got it right there, guys. Just make us be able to fuck our other characters.
well, just I don't know. Good characters, I think, is
I think
good characters and like a good story.
that's a huge part of it, because role playing games, like a lot of push, a lot of draw is going to be for the characters.
Because
like,
you are
that
you're
is
role
those characters.
playing. You're playing
Right?
a role.
I think a lot of people though are holding on too tight to what role playing is, right? And so, or at least turn based. They think that it has to be two people lined up. I attack, then it's your turn, and your turn goes to my turn, and like go back and forth, right?
Yeah.
I think people are beholden too tight to that, that they're not thinking kind of how that can be blended in where it doesn't feel like that anymore. And I think a lot of them could be used in some ways like Batten Kaitos.
Yeah.
A lot, like there's been a couple more card RPGs out there, but I think Batten Kaitos has gotten kind of the gist of what should be built on. Where your cards,
Have you ever played the second
Yes.
one? Okay.
I played both. I own both.
It plays so weird. I've only played the first one, but I haven't tried the second one though.
Yeah, no, it's different. It's weird, but it's different and stuff like that. But it allows you to kind of like every time you run into a new enemy in that game, because of your decks work in a random way, it's adaptable, and it changes how your characters act and be able to be responsive each time goes on.
Okay.
So that's why I think a system similar to that would probably kind of bring people back. I think a lot of the like traditional old school stuff, I would probably say just leave it to indies for the most part, because they're gonna be the only ones that can like only afford that.
Yeah.
Where the other ones are gonna be able to afford a lot more extravagant nonsense. These independent scene is going to be able to be like, oh well, we're just going to do these things. It's gonna classic.
We sold 5,000 copies. It's okay, but
Yeah.
when you see a AAA studio selling 5,000 copies, yeah, they're done.
Yeah.
So
it's stuff like that.
Okay.
So I do not see, like, I think Square will like hold on to stuff similar to like Octopath as one of those, hey guys, we're still a hip RPG company, and kind of just toss that bone out there every now and again, so people go, oh yeah, they never left their roots. But I don't think they'll ever go back.
Yeah,
like I don't. And honestly, it's just I feel like that's where it's going right now, and I think it's more of a consumer thing.
Yeah,
it's like
sadly,
consumers want more engagement while they're playing.
Yeah.
Like they want to be able to be challenged. They want to be able to like see that dragon and try to slay it in real time instead of trying to take turns and trying to take it down.
Poke.
Yep.
Poke.
Yep. Poking.
Yeah.
Yep. And so I think a lot of it's going to be, if the community wants it, then they'll want it again. If they want a turn-based game, they'll go to Earthlock. They'll go to Bug Fables. They'll go to, I think it's like Rising Phoenix or something like that. It's a Kickstarter game that hasn't been came out yet, but it's one of those games that's a turn-based. It's all that. It's stuff like that.
Okay.
They will go to them. They'll go to Kemco, because apparently Kemco released a whole bunch of Apple Arcade games that are turn-based, that are like very Final Fantasy 6-ish, but hard to analyze.
You have auto, right?
That'd be hilarious. I actually got a couple of them. They're not bad.
Okay.
They're short, but they're not bad.
Okay.
So they're going to go to those,
Yeah.
right? They're going to get that type of stuff from them. And that's just the way it is. And we're going to see stuff like Final Fantasy 16, and we're going to see probably 17 act the same way, if 17 isn't just magically another MMO.
Well, I wonder what Nomura's going to do. I apologize, Nomura. He's actually really, really decent.
It's World of Belts coming up.
It's Square Enix that keeps jerking him in all directions.
No, I think there's going to be a bit more. I think there's a lot more than that. I do think Nomura is like got that power up to his head too.
Oh, okay.
I think it's a bit of both. I'm not going to hold one side or the other. I do think it's a bit of both.
Okay.
And Nomura is not innocent in that type of thing, but that's another whole damn thing. But I do think a lot of stuff that we're going to see stuff like Trials of Mana. We're going to see remakes that are just going to be action-oriented and stuff like that. From my understanding, Dragon Quest XII looks to do a more action RPG take on it.
Okay.
And stuff like that. So you're going to see more of that. But as far as the classic, unlike 3D platformers, apparently it's really hard to do that isn't going to just copy what Banjo-Kazooie did. You're going to see a lot of them. You're going to see a lot different ones. You're going to see some that are pretty basic. You're going to see some that are trying to do something unique. But that I don't think they're going to go fully away like platformers have.
Okay, yeah.
So, but yeah, no, that's where I'm going to stay. And that's where I'm going to go ahead and
You're gonna stay.
say thank you guys for listening. And if you guys like our content, go ahead and make sure you're subscribed and
subscribe,
hit a like,
thumbs up.
Yeah, hit the thumbs up. We don't have any hip animations or anything to make you guys
Remind us
that,
on minds. Yeah.
But yeah, we have various social media platforms linked on the description below if you wish to follow us anywhere and support us there. And thank you guys all for listening, and we'll see you on the other side. Hey everyone. This is Paraka.
And Ghost.
I would like to say thank you for listening to our podcast.
If you like our content, give us a thumbs up. Subscribe and share our video with your friends.
You can also follow and support us on other social media such as Minds and Rumble. Links in the description below.